Hey future investors, welcome to this video. I wanted to shoot this quick video for you just to give you a little bit of clarity as far as what's entailed in the fully automated remote solar business and what you should know as an investor, getting into the solar industry, how the entire process really works. So you're going to want to watch this video all the way to the end. Okay, so first things first, let's start really looking into the three main components of the solar business. So you have the homeowner, you have the installation company, and then you have the sales organization, which is what we are. Now, the sales company is the breadwinner. They're the forceful sort of multiplier because they're the ones that are actually creating all the business opportunities for everyone involved, including the installation companies. The installation companies, they're a dime a dozen, and very, very few of them really do both sales and installs. Usually, the solar world is just split into two. You have the sales companies, and the sales company, another word for a solar sales organization, is either a dealer or a broker. It's pretty much the same thing, but those are pretty much the forceful multiplier because they're the ones that are actually making sure that everyone in the equation eats. Now, let's talk about how this model really works. Out of my experience in this industry for 6+ years, I've understood a few main things. So one, the main thing you want to have taken care of is your lead generation process, because your leads are the lifeblood of any business, but especially this one. And not knowing how to generate leads is the reason why a lot of companies, even beyond the solar industry, are really going out of business. Even if you have like a car detailing business, or if you have a restaurant or this or that, the reason why these businesses are going out of business is not for any other reason, but because they can't get people through the door. And I'm sure you would agree on that with me. So whether you are a business professional, or that you own a small business or a medium-sized business, or maybe you are somebody who has a job currently and is just looking for a more safer alternative to retirement, something that's cash flowing, something that really, puts your hard-earned money right to work and gets you those strong cash-on-cash returns, which we're going to get to in a second. But essentially, going back to the lead generation process, so you want to have a very solid way of actually generating leads. And throughout the years, we've worked with the biggest names in the solar industry. Some of those are Tesla. It was called Solar City, I believe, to begin with. And then, the SunPowers, the Freedom Forevers, like the multi-state nationwide installation companies. We've worked with them, and they had very big marketing budgets that we were essentially managing on platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, and even Google. I can tell you one thing about these platforms. They're very volatile. And although these companies all made a lot of money, and they still are making money, one thing that you should know is that that way of generating leads, it's definitely not obsolete, but it's very volatile. What I mean by that? So as you know, there's only so much real estate on when you log into, let's say, Facebook or Instagram. There's only so many scrolls, only so many times you're gonna scroll through your phone. You're going to be exposed to a certain type of ad, right? As you're looking at, for example, things that actually interest you. And for every second or third post, you get an ad served to you. And that's usually how it works. Your attention, your eyeballs as a consumer on the platform is really what they're banking on. And so they're selling that advertising slot to many different advertisers out there and companies out there. And it's really like a bidding system. So anyone who's willing to pay more money for that eyeball of a consumer on the platform is who really wins the bid. And I don't like that, because in Q4, the ads are absolutely utterly expensive because we're competing with everyone else who's advertising on Black Friday and Cyber Monday and Christmas and so on and so forth. And so the lead cost throughout the year is very, very volatile. And what that means is we cannot bank on the same type of returns year round. And even though we've spent tens of millions generating leads on these platforms, I really try to stay away from those, because just by virtue of being on the platform, you are a subject to volatility depending on what quarter or what period of the year we're really in and what's going on in society and so on and so forth. You're subject to a lot of things, but especially how volatile, the ad platforms can be throughout the year. So I didn't really like that. I said, if we're going to build something for investors, it needs to be super ironclad to the point where, we can say, hey, you can put $1 into the machine, you can get $2, $3, $4 back. And that's what we wanted to do. But back when we released the investor program back in late 2023, we started off doing what we know best how to do, which is advertise on these platforms. And then slowly but surely, we switched to a more predictable way of actually generating leads, which is only paying for results. And the reason why I'm telling you all this is because you as an investor, the cash on cash returns that you're going to be expecting are in direct correlation with the amount of money that we spend on marketing or leads, however you want to call it, for that given month. And it's as simple as, hey, if we know that historically we're going to be able to get anywhere between 50 to 100% cash on cash returns, well, that means if I want to make a passive, let's say, $10,000 profit every single month, then I have to spend anywhere between $10,000 to $20,000 for that month. Now, the beauty about the cash on cash return, which is monthly, which no other company can really do, and there is no other company doing this, by the way, because we're the only ones that have actually figured it out. And you have to have a few components done right if you want to have a very lucrative ROI system. Now, when I say we only pay per result, that means we only pay to actually go and speak to a credit qualified homeowner that is interested in going solar. So a lot of times these deals, what we do is we have a massive team of over 100 closers right now. And what we do is we generate the leads using the investors' funds, and then they go out and close, and then we pretty much split the commission. So it's a beautiful process to where everyone gets paid. Usually the closer gets paid 50% of the entire commission, and then the other 50% we usually split between us and obviously you as a partner based on your commission split. So once again, on the lead aspect, which is the most important aspect in the equation, and then everything really stems from there, what we do is we escaped the volatility of the ad platforms, and we now only pay per result, which is we have appointments set on the calendar for our closers to go and close. Now let's talk about the typical install times in solar. So notoriously, usually it takes anywhere between 10 all the way to 2 months. So 10 days to 2 months, right? Now this only depends on the state and the install partner that you have in your network. What do I mean by that is we, for example, only have our campaigns going in a handful of states that we know are very, very high in demand, number one, and then number two, they're very fast install timelines. I'll give an example. If you live right now in a state like New York or New Jersey, those are great states for solar. But the caveat is that the permitting process from the municipality takes usually anywhere between, 4 to 8 weeks. Don't ask me why it takes that long. That's just how things are over there. And it's not just there, by the way. There's a few states where the permitting process in the nation, it really takes a while in order to get done. Even though those are great states for solar, people are seeing amazing savings, the product really sells itself, and so on and so forth. We don't like it because in order for us to achieve that cash on cash returns every single month for us and our investors, what we need to have is we need to have very fast install markets. So we have a handful of install markets where we know the demand's there and there's fast install times, usually sub 10 days, which is amazing. Now let's talk about what happens to marketing funds that are being invested. So usually how it works is with a lot of different companies, you're gonna hear we have like a 60-day or a 90-day ramp-up period. With us, it's nothing of this sort. So as soon as we receive the marketing funds, your marketing soldiers are put to use. Could be even that same day, but usually the way it works is we set it up for the following day. So that same week, you already see returns on your dashboard, which is absolutely insane. Usually that's what people are mostly surprised about, that we act so fast and we're not just delaying, we're delaying the results. That happens with a lot of alternative asset classes out there, but not here. Definitely not here. That's the beauty of it, because a lot of people they're like, oh, I don't want to wait. I got to wait like 90 days or whatever in order to see a return. Now here, you could see the proofs in the pudding in the first week. And the most beautiful part about it is that we're not actually at the mercy of any of the app platforms. There's no volatility, and we're only actually paying per result, meaning a credit qualified interested homeowner that our closers get to pitch. Now let's talk about the monthly cash on cash returns, which I believe that's probably the most excited part of this video. And I want to talk to you about why this really is. So I already kind of explained the install times and how important that is. So we only operate in markets where we know we can achieve that sub 10-day install timeline, because we want to make sure that we get our investors paid that same given month so that all the initial funds could be reinvested back into the marketing budget, and the profit is for you to keep. Some of our investors decide to, have a little compounding effect and have 50% of the profit really go back into the marketing budget so that they can make more money the next month. Some people just keep the whole thing, but usually when people see that the proof's in the pudding, they like the compounding effect. So the average solar deal commission is anywhere between $8,000 to $12,000. Now, if we take the lower number of the two, that's $8,000 commission, which the way we're actually doing it is that will be a relatively smaller deal. So, but let's say conservatively, that's $8,000. That $8,000 then gets split into two because the closer always gets 50% because they're dictating how much profit the company is going to make as a whole. 50% goes to the closer, and then the other 50% gets split between our company and then obviously you as an investor. Now, how does the 50 to 100% really work? If our cost per acquisition, these terms are very, very simple, even if you don't know what these are. CPA, or a cost per acquisition, is essentially what it costs us to acquire that one sale, okay, that can get us paid that $8,000 to $12,000 commission. Now, let's say that $500 to $1,000 CPA is going to net us anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000 in commission. So essentially, you would pay anywhere between $500 to $1,000 to make $3,000 to $5,000. Now, let's say the net profit is $3,000 to $5,000. Well, that $3,000 to $5,000 is going to get split between our company and then your company. So essentially, for every dollar that you put into the machine, you get anywhere between $1.5 to $2.5 back, and sometimes even more. But it usually averages out to about 50 to 100% cash on cash returns. And I'm sure you would agree that if you've done your research, this outperforms any other asset class out there. Real estate, stocks, not even close, and they're still subject to volatility. Whereas here, we're actually forcing the result to happen. There's two main key components. There's one, which is the marketing side and the lead generation, which is we only pay per result. And then the second thing is we have the deal being closed on that same day, and it gets installed within 10 days, which is when usually everyone in the equation gets paid. So in short, how it all works out is we take care of all the marketing, all the lead generation, all the sales and fulfillment, and you as the investor just fund the business. That's pretty much it, and you get to own it. So this is how the industry and the business model works. It's truly one of the fastest growing sectors in the country. And the greatest part about this is that we're not as subject to volatility of, again, any advertising platform out there or anything else like that, or period of the year or so on and so forth. The price that we pay per result is always going to be the same. Doesn't matter if it's January or December, it's still going to be the same. And it's extremely predictable, unlike any alternative business model out there that has, you have to buy inventory and you have to pay for marketing and this, that, and the other. Like, you don't know if that inventory is going to sell out. Although everyone wants the inventory to sell out, we don't know if that inventory is going to just be stuck in the warehouse collecting dust, or it's actually going to get sold out. Most of the time, it ends up collecting dust. So for this, you don't have to worry about any of it. Anyway, thanks for sticking all the way to the end, and we look forward to showing you some live investor case studies, as well as what the goal is for you, what type of returns you're looking to get every single month. And please make sure you mark the event on your calendar so you do not miss it. Once again, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the other side.